So example here is again this particular function, add two numbers and then you return sum, right? So the calling function, for example main, will have to send two numbers over to this function add two numbers, right? And then this function will return back a sum. So these are common ways of doing that. These are common ways of calling a function inside the main. Actually, it's add two numbers, just like this, add two numbers, right? So one method is to call the function and then send the necessary parameters over, right? And then once the parameters are sent, something will be done in add two numbers. In this case, it will just add the two numbers and then return sum, right? Meaning here, total will then take the value of sum, or rather the value of sum will be stored inside the box called total, right? This is one way of calling the function. And this tells us, by having this line 18, this tells us that add two numbers is a function that returns something, because main is expecting something to be returned here, right? Total equals here tells that I want something, you know. So we know immediately that add two numbers is a function that is expected to return something to the calling function. Whereas here, we know that chances are function 1 will not return anything because main is not expecting anything from it. So it might be a function, for example, it might be a function like this. I'm just putting it as a comment, right? So function 2, sorry, function 1, right? Integer test or something, right? Might be something like this. Test times 2 or something. Test times 2, and then C out. C out is this, okay? Test, for example, right? So it's a function that will actually have its own output like that, right? Because it's not expected to return anything. And if it doesn't return anything and it doesn't give any kind of output, then what's the point of having the function, right? But that's our, you can say that's our level of thinking. That there might be functions that is like that, but it can actually do something more, right? Where at this point, I think we'll learn that first, meaning say that, you know, it's a function that is not expected to return anything. So chances are it will have its own output to make it so that it's not pointless, right? So that function 1 is not pointless, right? So that is this is an example of a function which is not the main function or any other inbuilt function in C++, right? So we call the function, we shouldn't write out the data type, right? So here we don't have to write out, you know, integer x, integer y. We just call it and then we just give it the necessary parameter, or in this case you can call it variable, right? Whereas when we are writing the what we call it function prototype, we do write it integer add two numbers, integer number 1, number 2. So we actually write it before we actually call it in the calling function, in this case main, right? We should pass variables of the corresponding type, so we don't need to write again integer x, integer y here. You just write x and y, right? C++ compilers reads top to bottom. Since main calls add two numbers, we should put the function add two numbers above the main routine. So with C++, you want to put this on top of main. So this is like this particular instance of codes here is like declaring a variable, but instead of declaring a variable, we are declaring the full function. What is add two numbers all about, right? So putting the program together, you know, so it will become something like this, right? And hence you can actually have something like that. C out blah blah, add two numbers. So yeah, you can have the output inside main, right? Or you can have the output inside this, in which case it won't return anything, right? So you just have to be sharp about whether returning or not returning, right? Here on the other hand, we are returning B, and what is B about? So B is just multiplying 100 times POW, right? And here I suppose POW is an inbuilt function, 1 plus P over 100 and then 10 return B. right? So double balance, future value, rate. So we are main is calling future value, and it is sending over rate to future value, and this is what future value will do. Again, I think POW here, power is an inbuilt function unless we have it somewhere here, right? So yeah, so we do not, right? So it's an inbuilt function. So we can give this a try first, right? Let's give this a try inside our emulator.